Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. You're watching our special show, India Fights Back, where we take a stock of the plan against COVID-19 pandemic, the way we have moved ahead in all aspects, specifically when we're talking about vaccination last few weeks. The numbers have been impressive when we're looking at the vaccination figures, and also the recovery rate is pretty impressive as far as India is concerned. But of late, there has been some concern in terms of the caseload, which has been increasing or rather on the upswing in certain states, for example, Maharashtra, Kerala, and of late Punjab and Chhattisgarh and one or two other states as well. Today, we're going to try and understand the reasons behind this surge in these states as far as caseload is concerned. Why exactly is it happening, and what is being done to go ahead and tackle that particular aspect, and what more needs to be done there? For more on this, we're joined by a distinguished panel of guests. Let me first introduce them to you, beginning with Professor P.V.M. Lakshmi is joining us. She is Professor of Epidemiology, Department of Community Medicine and School of Public Health at PGI MER Chandigarh. We also have with us Dr. Raman R. Gangakhedkar, Dr. C.G. Pandit, National Chair at ICMR, and Dr. Muhammad Ashil is also joining us. He is a core member of the COVID control team in Kerala and also the Executive Director of Kerala Social Security Mission. Welcome all of you to Rajya Sabha Television. Let me start with you, Dr. Gangakhedkar, and let's first understand these numbers and the context as well when we are looking at these figures coming in from various states. And how concerned should we be in terms of this increase which is happening in certain states or in certain pockets in these states?
If you look at the fact that we continue to be in the first wave overall nationally, you find that we had an effective lockdown. We pushed the onset of this infection by almost about 5 to 6 months altogether. And the result is also evident that the decline was being shown, successfully. But at the same time, suddenly now we are finding that in certain pockets in the country, you are finding that there is a small increase that is being seen there. Now, should that be treated as a cause of alarm? I think COVID, so far, whatever we understand, the third national sero survey also showed that it's the seroprevalence rate across in the country. Now that means 78% of the population is vulnerable. And currently our vaccination drive tends to look at only the healthcare workers and frontline workers, and their numbers are not going to add up so much to the proportion that we should be losing our vigil against this particular infection. And therefore a small increase should also be taken very, very seriously. And what is also important is we continue to be in lockdown. We are lifting up the lockdown. Now we have come to a crucial stage where we have lifted lockdown not only for other issues but also for school children and college going students. Now if that is the case, now we will perhaps have a different set of population that is likely to get more exposed to this infection, and therefore the risk would increase multifold, only because this is unprotected in population. This population does not adhere to the COVID appropriate behavior as rigorously as older population would, mainly because that's a phenomenon of their psychology. They tend to be rebellious. They feel I don't want to use it, and their social networks are also wide. And second reason why we should be worried is if you look at the Western countries, you find wherever second and third wave came, it came so sharply, it rises sharply, it exhausts all the hospital beds, and we don't want to face such a situation.
Definitely.
What is worse is you find that the entire world is likely to show a decline, perhaps in a month's time or so. You will find, excepting Brazil, in rest of the places, the curves are going down dramatically. And then if India starts shooting up, then we could also become a threat to the rest of the world. So all of us need to support the COVID appropriate behaviors adherence and ensure that you are with the government and you are discharging your social duties as an individual.
Okay, okay. Professor Lakshmi, from your point of view, ma'am, how serious do you think this should be taken? That is the surge in cases, and as Dr. Ganga Kedkar is pointing out, we can't lose the focus here. We can't let our guard down.
Yeah, okay, we should take it a bit serious. The reason being, right now we have lifted the lockdown thing has gone out, and we have lifted almost all the restrictions, especially if we look at Punjab and all. There was no restrictions either for the marriages or any other things, and the cinema halls have opened up, schools have opened up. So there is lot of intermixing of the population. And if we look at the cases which are coming up, they're mostly from the regions which earlier were protected, maybe because of lack of intermixing of the population, otherwise. So right now we should look at the things in a way like we should follow all the precautions so that even after intermixing, there should not be any problem. Like once there is a little bit surge is seen, so as a part of the public health measures, we should immediately look at the things like contact tracing and testing and home isolation and home quarantine. These measures which helped us in curbing and bringing down the infection should be taken very seriously.
Okay, okay. Indeed, those are the measures which should be enforced very, very seriously, as our experts are pointing out. Let me also bring in Dr. Mohammad Ashil here. Dr. Ashil, if you look at Kerala, then, in the past few days, we've noticed how the numbers have been increasing continuously in various districts and various parts. Two questions here. One, what is the reason behind that? And two, what is being done on the ground to tackle this particular challenge?
Okay. When it comes to a pandemic like this, what exactly we are doing at this situation is a titration between our lives, livelihood, and our health system capacity. That's the very basics of dealing with this. And what we have done, we are the first state to have the first case in India. In January 30th, we had the first case. So now we have been fighting the COVID-19 for over a year. And we are the last state to peak. Even after being the first state to have the case, we are the last state, one of the last state to peak. So obviously, and the seropositivity rate as of now shows that the ICMR seroprevalence study shows that our seroprevalence is just around 11.6%, almost half of the whole average national average, and also much lower than many of the countries. If you look at the seroprevalence in Delhi, it's somewhere around 50%. And which means that 11.6%, then we have a seroprevalence of 11.6%, which otherwise means that 89%, around 89% or 88.4% of the population are still susceptible. So when you have such a large susceptible population with all vulnerabilities of a population density almost double that of average India, with many other vulnerabilities, we expect an increase in the cases. What we have been doing is dragging an epidemic. We have actually changing a 2020 match into a test match, and test match is actually just test of endurance. So we need to stretch the pandemic. So what we expect that expecting that such kind of this plateauing would extend up to June or July. And we believe that it's a way a pandemic should be dealt with. Why? Because what we are looking at, when we say the active cases, we are basically concerned about the only question that would be asked at the end of the pandemic is that how many lives have been saved and at what cost? So when you look at that, that's exactly I'm saying that there would be titration with lives, livelihood, and health system capacity threshold. So when we dragged our epidemic, when we delayed our peak, the advantage is that we have the lowest case fatality rate, highest recovery among the closed cases. You have to look at the recovery among the closed cases. 96.4% of the people 99.6%, 0.4% is the death among closed cases also. So now, anyway, if you look at the recovery, whole recovery percentage, it's around 96%. The whole cases in Kerala, because you're having around 5% is the active cases as of now. But when we compare between states, it seems high because we are in the last. There were some graphs goes like this, and some graph goes like this. Now you look at this point, you may see that we may be having more cases, but really we are not really concerned in that aspect. At the same time, on the other hand, something which would be of very great concern for us would be when our hospital systems get overwhelmed. but that's not happening. If you see the advantage of delaying the peak or advantage of keeping the flattened peak for over a year is that not in a single moment in the whole time we had a ventilator occupancy over 25%, or our ICUs were not occupied above 50%. That's how we need to keep the occupancy. We need to keep our systems ready, and we need to keep the pace of the growth of the epidemic below the growth of our health system capacity. So that's
Okay.
so when we have 88% of the population with cases, we expect that when the relaxations are given, the cases would be in a plateauing or in a higher end. At the same time, what we need to look is that are we titrating the livelihood and the health system capacity threshold? And in
Okay.
somewhere, if we find that our livelihoods, relaxing our livelihoods are actually costing our lives or overwhelming our health system capacity, then we would clamp there. So it's a kind of when we are living with the virus, we need to be very careful. And at the same time, increasing the pace of vaccination is another aspect. Because when we have 88.4% of the population vulnerable for an infection, then we need to provide them vaccine immunity. Means susceptible for an infection, we need to provide them vaccine immunity rather than subjecting them to a natural infection.
Okay, definitely. That part is really, really important there, and that is something on which we are progressing one by one as far as the vaccination is concerned. Dr. Ganga Kedkar, I'd like to bring you back in here, and one more aspect of concern, when we are looking at these particular states, specifically when we look at Maharashtra, is the new mutated strain, which is being talked about in certain parts of the state of Maharashtra there, which might become a cause of concern there. So that also is one aspect which we should watch out for.
I absolutely agree. No, even if you see one variant like E484 variant which is being observed, it means it's a cause of concern. But should that lead to panic? Absolutely not. Should we say that everybody must be having that variant infection? Perhaps not. But what we need to understand is whether you have a variant of X kind or Y kind, some of them may impact vaccine strategies over a period of time, not something which we need to bother as of now, but it does not impact by any means. It cannot evade the response through the mask that you use, through the COVID appropriate behavior that you follow. It continues to remain effective against it. And unfortunately, our tendency is we tend to believe that it must be the virus. No? But we have to convince people that it's not virus that is leading to infection. It's your own behavior. No? If you don't follow the behavior, don't blame the virus for that. No, ideally, what it should connote to us is if a variant tends to provoke anxiety in you, good for you, but it should be treated as a reminder to follow COVID appropriate behavior rigorously. If we do that, perhaps we would be in the best position to stop it. Variants eventually are likely to come up not from outside also, they can come up from within. But then, even if they are occurring within, they are occurring because of lowering of our guard. Lowering of guard, mobility, migration, these are going to add up to those pressures in a population which is population dense. No, so we need to think about it little more seriously than panic that a variant is here.
Okay. Professor Lakshmi, from your point of view, not only the variant part and how cause of concern, how much cause of concern it should be for everybody involved here, the policy makers, the decision makers, as well as the common public, but also what Dr. Ashil was pointing out, that is striking that balance between lives and livelihood when we are talking about taking measures to contain the spread.
Yeah, we should take a balance between the livelihoods, and what Dr. Ashil has mentioned, it is very important because whenever we are going for a lockdown sort of thing, it will disrupt our livelihoods a lot, and we had seen the effects of complete lockdown and all, where some people had livelihoods have been very badly affected. So right now, if we look at the situation, it doesn't appears to me that we should go for a very strict lockdowns. But yes, if we keep a watch of our infections and immediate steps are taken in terms of contact tracing and testing and what we have repeatedly telling in terms of public health surveillance strengthening. So this will help us in preventing the spread of the infection, whether it is a variant case or a non-variant case, because these simple measures, like from the part of the public health system, contact tracing and testing and isolation will go a long way rather than going for lockdowns, which affect the livelihoods. Because right now we are in a comfortable situation where we can manage the number of cases. Because earlier we have a very peak where we used to see 100 plus cases being reported in a day, or 200 plus cases in a particular locality, where it is very difficult to do the contact tracing and everything very rigorously. But right now, because apart from certain pockets, we are very comfortably, numbers can be easily managed. So we should actually give more importance to each and every case which is being detected, rather than going or thinking in terms of lockdown or very rigorous measures. Because at the end of the day, we all should come back to the pre-COVID, where we should get adjusted to the new normal. And we should, at the same time, because we have a lot of susceptible population which are still there, not being protected from either by natural immunity or vaccination, we should continue to have the COVID appropriate measures followed.
Okay, definitely. That is the essence of the matter there. Dr. Ashil, I'd like to come back to you. And then the first thing which we would like to know is that are there any, mutant strains or have been reported from Kerala, the case from Maharashtra there?
Like we have been doing the genomic surveillance quite early also. We had a genetic study much before, maybe around 6 months back. And we have a new genetic study, some genomic surveillance going on. So what we find is that according to the reports as of now, we nothing to be panicked about that. We have variants, we have kind of many mutations have been reported, so that's very obvious. But when we look at the variant risk assessment, there is no variant which as of now would be evading our these vaccines, or maybe having a immune evasion or a vaccine escape. So at the same time, I understand that a few strains with South African strains has been reported in various parts of the country. So till now, we have not find anything which would be actually be of great concern when it comes to variants. At the same time, I would like to add on, like Raman sir and Lakshmi madam has told now, the COVID appropriate behavior. Like we were really surprised to find something very interesting as in Kerala. We did a excess death analysis, looking at the deaths of last year and this year, 2019 and 2020. We were surprised to find that there is a decrease of death of 11.2%, decreased number of overall cause mortality. The all cause mortalities has actually decreased by 11.2%, and we that is 29,000, around 29,000 cases has been deaths have been decreased. So when we decrease, when we subtract 800 deaths which can be attributed, or maybe 1,000 deaths which can be attributed to a decreased number of road traffic accidents, then still it's around 28,000 number of deaths decreased. Why? Because one of the things which we understood is that COVID appropriate behavior is not just COVID appropriate behavior. It actually affects everything. When we see the Break the Chain campaign and SMS, that is soap, mask, and social distancing. One of our greatest campaign was Break the Chain campaign. So what we did was even now we have around 70% mask coverage in public. So 70% mask coverage with social distancing and where people hand sanitization actually brings down many other infectious diseases also. And there was a great shift in the health-seeking behavior also. Our healthy behavior has also changed. So that will have contributed to decreased number of deaths, which means that it's decreased. That is interesting to know that it's less than the deaths of last year. Which we were looking at the excess death analysis of various parts of the world, and we found that there was a good study by World Mortality Data Set, which came out in last week. We found that out of the 77 countries which were studied, 51 had significantly higher number of deaths this year, which is around 14% in US, 13% increase in UK. And while few countries, obviously, understandably, New Zealand had a decrease of -6% of total all-cause mortality. And we are really excited to understand now that in Kerala, we have a excess, like a decreased death of around 11.2%, which is very encouraging. But
Okay.
at the same time, we need to continue all these measures because, as I said, when there is a huge number of susceptible population, as Raman sir said, as Lakshmi madam said, we need to continue this COVID appropriate behavior and live in the new normal until we have vaccinated a significant proportion of our population.
Okay, definitely. And those are very, very significant numbers there and interesting data there also if you look at it. Dr. Ganga Kherkar, quick concluding comments from you, sir, before we bring this discussion to an end in terms of how we should go on, tackling these challenges as we encounter them. Obviously, COVID-appropriate behavior is one aspect.
No, absolutely. No, second thing which I would always say that given the fact that COVID is still here, all of us who develop any symptom that is associated with COVID, what we must do is try to isolate ourselves within the family. Ensure that you don't mix up with the family. Ensure that you don't eat together and get yourself tested. If you do that, perhaps the risk of transmission can be dramatically brought down in terms of R0 that we tend to talk of, and in terms of the further spread that might occur in the community. One must remember that most of the transmissions, 80% of the transmissions, they occur 2 days before symptom and 2 days thereafter. Now, the moment I isolate myself, if I develop any symptom, perhaps I'm likely to reduce the spread of this infection dramatically. No, and then get myself tested. If that happens, perhaps things would be far more better. Follow COVID appropriate behavior. Those who are symptomatic should not worry about testing. And if they are found positive, now I will undergo a sort of risk to my life. No, testing when you are symptomatic is an effort to try to save the morbidity as well as the risk of death that could occur. No, please don't hesitate to test just because you are scared to look at whether you are actually having this particular infection. If we follow these small measures, it could make a difference. And what is most important, be a responsible citizen, be responsible for your own health, your family's health, and the community surrounding it. If we do that and support the government, I'm sure we will win this particular war against COVID.
Okay, definitely. Those are the important aspects. Thank you so much, Dr. Raman Ganga Kherkar, Professor Lakshmi, as well as Dr. Ashil, for sharing your views with our viewers here on Rajya Sabha Television. As our experts were pointing out, we've done a good job, fairly good job so far in terms of battling the COVID-19 pandemic, and the numbers in terms of recovery rate and the vaccination figures also do point out to the same. But then the recent spurt or recent rise in cases in certain states do underscore one important aspect, and that is that we cannot let our guard down. The COVID virus is still around the corner. We have to be very cautious. We have to follow all the guidelines, ensure that we get ourselves tested if there is any slim chance of us getting infected, and contain it by quarantining ourselves. Also, the COVID-appropriate behavior, as our panelists were pointing out, is really, really important. And we would also like to underline that this is a simple 3-step process. First, you have to wear your mask at all times when you step out of your house. Ensure that you follow the hand hygiene process. Wash your hands very regularly, and also follow physical distancing again when you are in public. These 3 simple steps will go a long way in keeping you, your near and dear ones, safe and secure. So keep watching Rajya Sabha Television.